Okay, so yeah, so if you have any questions about this live stream or AOPS in general, head over to the Game Launcher Creator V2 channel over on the Bitebox Media Discord server, and I'll try and get around to any questions. But what I'll do is initially I'll just show you that what we're going to do is set up a basic AOPS system here inside Game Launcher Creator, and then I'm going to show you just how to set it up primarily, but obviously each game and each setup is going to be completely different, but I'll show you the basics on how we do it. Alright, so you can use Game Launcher Creator for numerous different purposes. The primary purpose is to use it for your own game developments. Now, we have a lot of 5M users that use it for GTA 5 and Red Dead Redemption and all them type of games like Days, and also moddable multiplayer games, basically. So you could use AOPS for that, but what I'm going to show you is an example of how you would use Game Launcher Creator V2 for your own game development. Alright, so if you've read the tutorial on the website, you'll be familiar with this process. As you can see down here, I've got in my G drive a folder called Test Game, and inside Test Game I've got two versions of my game. So the first one is 1.0, so this is the first release of the game. So what we're going to do is when you've compiled your game and you've got your first release that you want to set up, this is what you need to do. Build it out to here. Now you can see there's a version text file in here that says 1. That's just like a preset thing that I already did. So I'm going to delete that for now. But as you can see, I've got my game executable here, a library folder here. Just going to leave my mic. A music folder here. It's got a dummy MP3 file in it. And then a change log as well. So if I run my game, you'll see I'm just going to close that Twitch stream page down on my computer so Xprecious Gaming can moderate the live chat on the Twitch feed. So I'm just going to close that. So as you can see, when I run my executable, my game, it comes up version 1.0 of my game. So we've got this set up, that's fine, let's leave it at that. Let's go ahead and create our game launcher. So in Game Launcher Creator, you can create a new project blank and design your own. But we have this new feature now where you can create a new project from a pre-made template. And these pre-made templates you can customize as well. So if you create a project using one of these templates, you can simply just customize the template as well. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, for the sake of this, let's choose a template. Let's choose the Swordcraft one. It's pretty funky. So I'm going to call our game Test Game Twitch. Put anything in the author. And we'll click OK. So here we have our launcher already pre-made. I'm just going to use this as a template. I'm not going to mess about customizing it too much. But so the first thing that you need to do is enable the AOPS patching system. I'm hoping that Harvey's taking heed of what we're going to go through here, because for some reason he doesn't know how to use this either. But I'm sure he'll chime in at some point. So we need to enable the patcher here, and you always need to make sure that you've got an update button inside your launcher. So for this template here, you can see we've got an update button here. Check for updates. Check the properties of the button. You just need to make sure that check for updates is selected. So just drop down there. Just click select check for updates. So when the user clicks this button now, it's going to trigger AOPS because it's checking for the updates. Launch, might as well fill this in while I'm here. We might as well get that to execute the game itself, which is mygame.exe. I can simply take that file name, pop it into here. So when the user clicks on launch, it's going to launch the actual game. So that's pretty much all the customization that I'm going to do for this. So once you've enabled AOPS, we go over to the AOPS configuration, and you're presented with this AOPS configuration screen here. So if you want, you can go to File and AOPS Wizard, and this wizard will kind of guide you through what you need to do. to set up AOPS for your launcher. So what I've done over here in my FTP is I'm using GameLauncherCreator.com here, and I've created a folder called test.dir. Alright, so if let me just go over here for 1 second and open up Firefox. Let's close all these down, don't really need any of these. Oh, there goes Firefox. Alright, so if I go to GameLauncherCreator.com test.dir, you'll notice that we get a 403 forbidden error. One, that's because there's no files in there, and two, directory browsing is disabled. So what we can do, this is what I'm going to use for storing my game files. So what I need to do is now jump back to Game Launcher Creator, type in https GameLauncherCreator.com /test.dir. Okay, and a /. Click on next, and then it's going to ask me, do I want it to be an auto patcher, and do I want to force an update if an update is available. I'm not going to bother with these, so I'm just going to click on next. And now we need to create a hash salt. So a hash salt is just something that makes your game update unique. So it can be absolutely anything. And as you can see here, just below, it tells you what kind of weak hash salt it is. If it's medium, ideally you want a good strength one. So you can literally type anything in here. So for the sake of the stream, I'm going to call it GLC Twitch Stream UK. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select that, and I'm going to copy it. I'm going to open up Notepad. I'm just going to paste it in, because you need to save this hash salt to your computer. Because if you forget this hash salt, you're going to run into problems. So when you've created a hash salt, it can be absolutely anything. You can use exclamation marks, speech marks, you can do whatever you want. Just make it unique and save it to your computer. That's paramount. So we click on next, and now it's asking me where AOPS is going to find the version information. So at the minute, we don't really have our game installed on the computer. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a minute out just to show you how the game will look once it is installed on a user's computer. So I'm going to copy these over to this directory here, which is C program files test game 2. So what I can do is delete them, pop this in, so you can see now it's identical to my first version release here. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the registry, and under software I'm going to create a new key, so key test game, and then inside test game I'm going to create a new string value, and I'm going to call it version. Version is 1.0. So as you can see the oh, actually I don't really want it under its key local machine. Let's go to current user. So it'll be current user software. Let's create a new key under software, test game, new string. Now I'm doing this now because I'm just trying to set up what the setup will be like on a user's computer. In order for you to do this, you would need, at the end of AOPS, you would need to create an installer for your game or your launcher. But we already have videos on YouTube that show you how to do that. Expressions Gaming's done 2 or 3 different videos showing you how you can use ClickTeam's install creator. There's a free edition on there where you can create your own. But I'm just setting up the premise as if I have installed my game to the computer. So you can see that I now have a registry entry stipulating the version. We will also have another one, which will be the install path or install dir, and the installer will write these out to the registry. I'm going to pop these in, and we're going to need that final backslash at the end there. You must remember that most installers do write it out with the final trail at the end there, but if they don't, you know, or you're using a custom installer or you're doing it yourself, just make sure that you write out the installation path with the preceding trail at the end. So that's pretty much set up and good to go. So we jump back to AOPS and we can now say we update via the registry. So you can see, if I look under the registry, that we've done it under HKey current user. So you can simply copy this in to your AOPS settings, and then the key is software and test game. So again, you can just copy that straight in, and then the update string is version. So we can just type that in there. So basically what this is for is once AOPS, AOPS will use this string to check on the user's computer which version is installed. And then once it's updated, it will then update this version number as well. So that the game launcher always knows which version is installed on the user's computer. So if you don't want to use the registry, you can update via an ini initialization file. That has to be in the same directory as your launcher, or you can just update via a local file like a text file. You could just have a version.txt file which stores the version number in there. You could use floats, but only to 1 decimal. So for example, you could have 1.1, 1.3, 1.34, but you can't have 1.6.2.4 because it'll only calculate to 1 decimal place. Alright, so we click on next. Next, it's going to ask where the initial install directory is of the game that we're going to patch. So if the game is installed in the same directory as where the game launcher is, then you don't need to check this. But if there's a chance that the launcher could be in a different directory to where the game's actually installed, then you're going to need to check it. If you want to play it safe and you've already written out where the game was installed to when the user installed it using an installer, then just use this setting. So you can just select that, and again, it's just the same settings as before. It's HKey current user, and it's a software test game, and this time it's the install string. The install string is called install path. We pop that in there, and this way AOPS will then check the registry on the user's computer to find out where the game's installed to, so it knows where the game files are. So when it starts patching, it knows exactly where they are. So basically AOPS is all about creating a patching system that's like a ghost image of the user's installation. So when it drags the files down off your web server, it's the same structure that's on the user's computer, but we'll get to that. Alright, so on this section here now, this is where we have to scan the files, the game files. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to jump over here a sec, and I'm just going to copy this folder and call it backup. So always make a backup of your original output folder. I'll tell you why in a sec. So what we do is we launch the scanner, we put in the secret hash key, copy that. Okay. Then we could go to scan directory. So we go to scan directory and we find on our computer where the directory is, and it's under test game and 1.0. So you select the root folder, click OK, and then the AOPS scanner will scan all the files inside your game here. Alright, so you can see we have the changelog.txt file. Let me just make this a bit smaller so you can see. So we have the changelog text file there. We have a lib.txt file underneath the lib folder, a dummy mp3 file which is there, and my game.exe. Now, if you just quickly look over these files, if you select a file, it will tell you down here a bit of information about it. So it'll tell you the total size of the file, it'll tell you the file name, it gives you the file size in bytes, and it tells you when it was last modified as well, which is important for patching. So what AOPS does is, in a second I'm going to click on build patch log, and what AOPS does is it builds a list file of all these files that are installed. So we know that these are all our game files, and these are all our game files here that are scanned. So if I click on build patch log, I can now just export that out. So I'm just going to call it testgame.gcl. And that's done successfully. So I can close this. If I go back here, you'll see the GCL file that's been exported. I can open this up in Notepad++ just to quickly show you what's inside. So here you can see we have a list of all the files now. Go away. A list of all the files. So we have changelog text. This is the timestamp for the file that's stored. And I've got a few other settings. This here is the unique checksum. It's an MD5 checksum. And it's the MD5 checksum. It is a bunch of data, including the file modification date, the file size, and it also includes your secret hash key as well. So it makes each individual file as unique as possible. So go away. So this here is our patch file. That's what we call our patch file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to our test directory here, and I'm going to upload it. I'm just going to grab the name of that file, and I'm going to save that because we're going to need it later on. So now that we've done that, click on next, and now what we do is tell AOPS where our patch file is. Well, you can see that we've just uploaded it to gamelaunchercreator.com/testdir/testgame.gcl. Just pop that in there. That is not the name of our file. Testgame.gcl. Now the remote version file. Obviously we need a remote version file to say which version is the current version available. So I can just simply create a file on the server called version.txt, and I can quickly edit that file. Just put in 1.0. Re-upload it back to the server. So now this text file on the server is telling AOPS that the current version available is 1.0, and that's the current version that the user will have installed as well. What I need to do is just put in here a link to that as well. So it's gamelaunchercreator.com/testdir/version.txt. Click on next. And now what we need to do is we need to rename the files. So we click on Launch Renamer, and it will launch the Renamer application. So it's asking us for a directory to scan. So you click on this button here, and then we'll go to G, test game, and 1.0. This is why I asked you to make a backup of this folder, test game 1.0, because AOPS is now going to rename all these files, so you want to make sure you've got a backup here in case you need to go back, and do anything. You don't want to go back and rename all those files again. We click OK, and we click on Build, and there we go. It's already done. But once it's finished and it's complete, we then need to create a folder on the server called Game Files. Oh, that's a file down, not a folder. 1 second. Game Files, and then I'm going to upload those files. As you can see, they've all been renamed now, and we append a TLG extension on the end. And the reason why we do that is because a lot of computers have privilege problems. So a lot of computers might not necessarily have administrator privileges. They might have invoker. So they're just standard users. Plus, some people may have problems with their antivirus and stuff. They're not really going to like downloading executable files and stuff like that. And then you've also got another problem of web servers, especially if you're on shared web hosting. If it's an executable file or a DLL file, some hosts won't allow you to download those files. So we just rename them. It's a simple spoof and you can get around it. So what I do now is to take all these files and I upload them to the web server, just like this. And that's done. That's my directory. So if you look at the directory where the game's installed on the user's computer, you can see how alike they are. You take off the TLG extension at the end, they're exactly the same. My game, changelog, music folder, lib folder, and everything's the same. For example, if you right click on mygame.exe just to get up the properties, and you look at the size here. You see size here is 3 million bytes, 487,136, and look at it on the server, it's the exact same, 3,487,136. If you want to reference timestamps as well, you can do. So yeah, that's pretty much, I wouldn't worry about this timestamp here. That's more of a timestamp of when it was uploaded to the server, not the actual file timestamp. So now that that's done, you'll notice that our test directory now has a game files folder, and this is where the game files are installed to. So I have to go back to Game Launcher Creator, and I have to stipulate that. You can do it through the AOPS configuration here. So you see test dir, and we now have to put game files at the end. And that is pretty much it. That's done. We can customize it a little bit here and change these. Let me just check out the. Is Harvey? Are you there? Are you all around? Yeah, that's not a shock. I'm just seeing if there's any questions up to now. Yeah, bit of a bad time really to catch people online, isn't it? It's not the best of times. But no worries, we'll crack on anyway. At least we're covering the topic at hand. Right. So okay. So now that that's done, you can now carry on playing about with your launcher, customizing it, doing what you need to do. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to save it and I'm going to build the launcher. So I just go on to build launcher. Click on build, let Game Launcher Creator build the launcher. Alright, that's done. Let's ditch that, let's minimize that, rid of that, rid of that. So what I wanted to show you was, hopefully this will work. I know I've got some strict permissions on this server, so I'm hoping we can check this out. Game test game.gcl. You see, as soon as I type that in, Firefox wants to download it, so that's good. So we now know that our patch file is downloadable, and everything else will be downloadable as well. We'll get to that in a second. Alright, so this is our build here. This is what's come out of our build. So we've got our patch configuration file, we've got our launcher, we've got AOPS, and we've got all the data that we need for our launcher as well. So what I can now do is we'll copy these over to your initial install folder here, like this. So what you want to do now at this stage, if you want to build this out as an installer, these are the files that you need to build out to your installer, because it includes your game, and it includes your launcher, and it includes everything else that you're going to need. So you would package them up into an installer, or you can just bung them in a zip file and send them to people or whatever. So what I now need to do is take those files, put them in here. So this is our makeshift install folder, what's on our user's computer. So say that I'm one of the players, this is what I would have installed on my computer. So when I run the game launcher and I click on launch, it should launch mygame.exe from before. There we go, that's what's installed. And now I'm going to check for updates, and this is going to launch AOPS. Click on check for updates. Would you like to produce a debug log? I'm going to say yeah. Retrieving online version, and now it's saying you're already up to date. Installed version is 1, available version is 1. So let's just see how this works. You can see that AOPS, what AOPS has done, as it has checked the registry, the registry keys that we sent it, and it's checked the registry here, and it's checked that this version number and it's got 1.0, so it's realized that version 1.0 is installed and the available version is 1, and it's got that from our version txt file on the server. So we're all up to date. Now your user can force a patch update anyway. This is great because the user might have some files installed that maybe got modified, or maybe an antivirus deleted a few, or someone did something malicious. So they can click update anyway, and what AOPS will then do is check the MD5 checksum of the file installed versus the file on the server. So you can see patching's complete. Everything's up to date. So I'm glad that all went smooth, because that's how AOPS is set up originally. So on Twitch. All right, let's have a look. Okay, we'll get to them ones at the end. That's probably a no. But yeah, so I'm glad that went smooth, because that is basically how you set up AOPS. So if anybody's any issues now on the initial setup of AOPS, you can just rewind this video to the point where you think you went wrong, and see what happened. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly show you. If I go to app data, and go to test game Twitch and go to patch temp, you'll see that it downloaded our patch file here. And you can open this up with Notepad or anything, so you can see that it downloaded the correct file. So a lot of users are having problems, like they're saying, well, it's not detecting the local installed version, but I've just showed you how to do it there. So if your installer writes out the version 1.0 and the install path to the registry, you're telling the installer where to write these settings, so you already know beforehand what these settings should be, and that's how you can do it. Now let me show you how you would apply an update or a patch for the launcher. So what we need to do is head over to our game development directory. As you can see here, I already have a 2.0 right here. So what I need to do is just make sure, just get rid of them, put all these files, just ignore this little bit. And I don't want AOPS and the launcher to be included on the rescan. I don't need my launcher updating. So if you needed your launcher updated, you could include them other files. So it's just them ones there. Copy them over to 2. As you can see in this 2.0, so this is the next version that's out. If I run this executable, you can see that it says version 2 here. So the version that's installed on the user's computer is version 1, and we now want to release version 2. Alright, so how do we do that? Same principle again. Put all your next version files into a new folder, make a copy of that folder, call it a backup. And this bit's real easy. So you want to release a new patch for your game, you simply go to the AOPS configuration screen. You don't have to change anything in here. You just simply go to launch scanner. It's going to ask you for your salt key again, so we need to put that in. Scan directory. So now what we're going to do is we're going to scan over our new version that's available. So we go down to test game 2.0 and click OK. Now we build the patch log out. So it was test. Right, we'll overwrite our original one. So testgame.gcl. Click on yeah. And then you simply launch the renamer on the same directory. The test game. A lot of test folders on that computer. On the 2.0, click on build, done. And that's it, that's your patch done. So now what you need to do is head over to your development folder, and you can see we now have these files here. So the first thing we need to do is go back to our server and overwrite the GCL, patch GCL. So I'll just simply drag that in. overwrite. Game files, go into there. Go into 2.0, what we've just renamed. Select them all. Do this. And now what you want to do is you can either overwrite them all, or you can just choose something like if the source is newer, you know, so because you don't want to, if you've got a game that's got 80,000 files in and is like 10 gigabytes, you don't want to be overwriting all the files if they're exactly the same. So just only overwrite the ones that have been modified. But this is small enough for me to overwrite, so I'm just going to overwrite them all like that. Alright, so now the final thing to do is update the version number available on the server. It's now 2.0. Re-upload that back. And that's it, that's your patch released. So now when your users who have version 1 installed, go and run your launcher and check for updates. Rather than it saying you're up to date, everything should now. Yep. And there we go. So there's an update patch available. Installed version is still 1. Available version online is 2. Do you wish to update? The user's going to click update. The AOPS is going to download all the files that were patched, just like that. Complete. So now when the user runs my game, it should say version 2. And there we go. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is AOPS wrapped up in one video. The complete initial setup, and you can see how fast it is when you've got a new patch available, how to just patch the game and send out the update to your users. Now, an interesting feature of AOPS is the ability for the patcher to sense which files, maybe a file's become corrupted. So if I open mygame.exe in Notepad++, come on, go away, and just modify a little bit of this data. Look, I'm just going to put a load of random letters in there and then save it. Now this executable's been modified. So now when the user runs, use a debug log, yes. So now they can repatch or repair installations. All they have to do is click on update, and you can see that AOPS has detected that something was wrong with that executable file, and it's now repatched it. As you can see, the icon's back. So let me just show you that again. So if any of the files were modified, like this one, for example, so let's just break that executable file. You can see the executable file is now broken because that is not compiled binary. So when I click on launch, look, you're probably going to get this error. Oh, look, something's happened. The executable doesn't work. So the user can simply go to the AOPS system on check for updates, and AOPS will fix that file for him. Click on update, and it will repair the file for him. And once it's done, it'll relaunch the launcher. And now when they click on launch, you'll see that it's fixed the file. So AOPS has many uses. We have some users that actually use it as an installer, but that's a whole different video. It's a whole different kettle of fish. Hopefully Harvey was able to follow me on that. Hopefully Harvey gets it. We'll soon find out. But yeah, that is pretty much how you create or how you use AOPS within Game Launcher Creator. So I'm just going to visit the Twitch stream now. Let's see if we've got any other questions from any users. No questions. I can't see any questions, which is good. I'm glad the stream went smooth. I'm glad nothing went haywire or went silly with me. Today I've just released 1.34 as well, so if you've not updated Game Launcher Creator, you can update via the software. Just go to help and check for updates. 1.34 is now available, so you can download that. It contains a number of bug fixes. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I don't think I need to cover much more on AOPS. Let me just show you something real quick. Do you remember when we just did that fix for AOPS just then? Well, if you now go into oh no, that's pretty much it. That's all I need to show you. I don't need to show you anything else. And there's no more questions to be had. You all right there, Stephen? Just making sure you're not falling asleep. So yeah, thank you for joining this Twitch stream. I'll definitely do some more Twitch streams in future. Try and get some more videos out there, but hopefully this was helpful to a lot of people that I know are struggling with AOPS. We do, in our Discord server, we do have a tutorials channel. If you click into there, there's a written step-by-step AOPS tutorial that you can follow, and we also have a troubleshooting guide as well. You can check that out on the website at Game Launcher Creator. So if you are having problems, you can revert back to this video, or you can head over to this troubleshooting guide on the website, and it will tell you what the issue more than likely is, if you do run into any issues. But yeah, it's been a great stream. Thanks for joining, and I will certainly see you in the next one.